Hi everyone, welcome to First Phase Media. I am Mark, and today I will interview Nick Rodway, CEO of Core Assets, a mineral exploration company focused on the acquisition and development of mineral projects in British Columbia. How are you, Nick?
Doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, for those who aren't familiar with Core Assets, could you give us a brief overview of the history of the company?
Yeah, certainly. So the company started off as a private company, and it was revolving around the electrical, transition of the world into green battery metals. And we set out in Atlan, BC area to look at copper cobalt type prospects. And long story short, we started to find a lot more copper than we had planned, and it led to doing a little more regional exploration in the area, which led us to the discovery of what we think is one of the largest superficial expressions of a carbonate replacement type deposit style in BC, in Atlan, BC. So that's kind of the overview. But right now, we're obviously public and we're traded on Canadian Securities Exchange and also the US and Frankfurt. And we are going quite aggressively this year, drilling two different projects within one contiguous land package, which is massive, basically straddling the Alaska border in northwestern BC, and it's one of the largest land packages probably in the province, and with that it being contiguous as well, which makes it really important. And a lot of this area has never ever been even walked by anyone, and it's due to glacial cover. And a lot of the glaciers now have retreated, and it's been able to give our team an upper hand, and we can actually see with no overburden or vegetation, we can see things at surface that were never been seen before. So yeah, we're doing a 5,000 meter drilling program. We're almost halfway through it at the very moment, waiting on assays and whatnot from our Laverdiere area. And currently we are drilling 24/7 at our Silver Line project.
Okay, so your your projects are located in southern British Columbia. So what are the challenges and the benefits of being located there?
The benefit of being there is we're in an area that is known geologically for producing deposits. Also, it has been underexplored or not explored at all, and we have accessibility through Atlan Lake, which is nice. It brings us right to both our projects, so we're able to mobilize our materials down there a lot easier. And right now, most companies now are going into areas that have already been explored, looking at them in different ways, or drilling deeper. But this is a brand new type discovery, which is not really that common anymore these days. So that's why we're excited about it, and it's an early stage discovery story.
Okay, and so you own two projects, and I'd like to talk about the first one, the Silver Line project. What discoveries occurred in 2021?
Well, so 2021 was when we just went into the next valley, which was a couple kilometers away from some massive sulfide occurrences, zinc, lead, silver, copper, that we could see at surface. And we went over the hill there, and we ran into what we call the Grizzly Manto zone, and it's an exposed area of about a kilometer of continuous massive sulfide in bedrock, which is again very unheard of these days to find something like that. And what a manto is a blanket-like body in the side of the mountain that is visible, and it runs quite respectable grades over this whole kilometer. The grades over like 60 or 70 samples there of massive sulfide average around 10% zinc, 2% lead, and about 110 grams silver. So quite large. But our goal now is to prove that these things are continuous in the subsurface, hosted in a calcium-rich unit, and then hopefully track it back to porphyry, which would be the source of these high-grade metals.
Okay, and for 2022, have you found any discoveries?
Well, we're basically take a prospector's approach with this project. So we're drilling what we can see at surface. So anything that would be considered a discovery beyond this would be just tapping into these systems with the drill bit at depth. The discovery has been made, but now we need to prove in a quantitative way what type of size we could be dealing with, and also the geometry of the body. But it's going to be a long road to success here. But with our 5,000 meter drill program, we certainly will get some good ideas and good taste of mineralization in the subsurface, and that's the goal of the 2022 drilling season.
And also in your investor that you were mentioning the carbonate replacement deposit, Could you tell us a little bit more about it and why it is significant?
Yeah, sure. I mean, these types of systems, carbonate replacement type of systems, CRD, I use as the acronym. They tend to be quite large systems, and they're mined underground. They can be anywhere from less than 10 million tons to over 150 million tons of material, and they're fairly environmentally friendly because they're hosted in a basic rock called limestone. So your acid is your ore fluid, your metal replacing your base. So generally, when you're building a mine type scenario, you want to have as least amount of acid leaching as you can, and the limestone kind of helps with that. These type of deposits are also generally mined underground, so they have a minimal environmental footprint, from the surface. And the other project, which is Laverdiere, that's more of a skarn porphyry story. So there's high grade copper near surface, and the goal is to again drill through what we can see there, which we've already put out several news releases on our visual, what we've seen visually, and then to hopefully get into the potassically altered zone. And those things can obviously be over 100 million tons as well, to a billion tons of material. So we're looking for two very large deposits, and if we can actually tap into these two deposits and demonstrate grade, there's a possibility that there could be a few more in our land package, just because we own so much contiguous land, about 1,200 square kilometers in a prolific area. So it's kind of the upside, I guess, after this year, is how many more of these things are potentially in the area.
Okay, and let's talk about the second project, the Lavergio Project. Could you do a quick overview and an update, give an update of these projects?
Yeah, sure. So we did do 6 holes. We budgeted for 1,500 meters. We actually went to 1,800, so 300 meters more. And it was just because we kept seeing what we call potassically altered rock, and that's kind of the closest to your ore zone that you get for a porphyry. So it's very, very exciting. And then of course we have the skarn there as well, which produces respectable grades that we've had in grab samples. And we will have our first 2 holes, the assays out in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, that story actually goes back to the late 1800s. There was 2 brothers that were in the area. They did some small scale mining in the late 1800s there for copper. And then there was a few different companies that were in the area after that in the 70s, but then no one was there after the 80s, and nobody drilled deep holes. And we drilled the deepest holes in that area this year, and the deepest one was about 405 meters, I believe, depth. And we had continuous spotty chalcopyrite and molybdenite, which is what you'd expect to see. And I think next year we're going to drill even deeper again, hopefully do some 500-meter plus holes. And then I think we're going to be able to potentially tap into it and test some of these geophysical conductors that we've outlined in a geophysical survey. And again, that one's easily accessible too. It's right by the water's edge of Atlan Lake, and which is accessible through Atlan. And you got to remember that this is a hotel job as well right now. So we are based at a hotel. It's about 12-minute helicopter ride away. Or of course you can boat down, and we'll see what the future brings us here if we plan on making a camp or something. But right now we're just again trying to prove our thesis that there is something there and enough to be excited about.
And if we combine these 2 projects, what would be the success story?
If we combine these 2 projects, I mean, again, success for these 2 projects is basically just tapping into the system, getting a little bit of a taste. And we have demonstrated that already with the Laverdiere at the Silver Line project, where we're basically following a geological continuum model for CRDs, which shows certain elements at one end of the spectrum, and it gradually increases in other elements as you get closer to a source. So where we're drilling right now at the Jackie, we think is one of the ends to, there's going to be hundreds of ends to this source, because we can see them coming up at surface, and they're coming up in what we call bleeders or chimneys, mantos. So the Jackie target itself is kind of like an exhaust in the system, and it's a high grade exhaust of zinc, lead, and silver. But we're still trying to find, we just begun this journey, of course, and it's like a network, almost like an anthill, a network of channels beneath the ground. And our thesis is that they're continuous all the way back to the source. So every drill hole we do is just to we just want to get a sniff or at least tap into the massive sulfide. And again, as our news release has in it, we've been successful with that in all 4 holes in our first go. So we're excited to get over to the next area now, which is just over the mountain to where the new discovery area is, and we're drilling that one as we speak.
And on the future outlook, could you know how you intend to make profit out of them? Would it be on a net smelter return or on a buyout?
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to say anything like that at this time, as we're so early stage.
Okay.
I mean, every company, I guess, as a junior explorer, wish is to have a larger someone big come in and be a part of your project. But we're a business, just like any other business, except a business that doesn't make money. And if the opportunity happens to come where someone's interested, then obviously we would be interested in doing something. But oftentimes it's not actually up to it's not really up to me whether I want to mine or explore. We're just trying to run a business and hope that we can tap into something that others would be interested in. But I mean, the future will tell.
Okay, so now let's get to know more about you and your team. So because obviously in the junior market, the team is one of the most important aspects for success. So first, to get a better understanding of you and your team, could you tell us why did you start Core Assets?
Yeah, so I mean, the reason we started Core Assets Corp was because, again, it was all a part of the green energy movement. And I personally I was doing project generation for an investment company in Vancouver, and I had some prospects that I've been looking at that I really was interested in. And it's not often that a geologist gets to kind of just come up with crazy ideas and have someone fund you. So I was lucky enough to have someone back me through this idea of exploring an underexplored area, and we were lucky enough to start getting results. So that's how it all started. And then I was a director of the company in VPX, Vice President Exploration. And then after I finished up some other work I was doing, I was free enough that I was able to come in and take over as the CEO and president. And with that, I also brought in some new people, some young blood, basically. And I think we probably have the youngest average team here in the CSE right now for exploration companies, anyways, average age of, in 30s, myself being 30 as well. And yeah, I mean, we've put together young people who are motivated and people who want to work. And then we're also backed by advisors who have a lot of experience. So, there's always can make that phone call if I need to talk to someone with 30, 40 years experience. But yeah, the team is built very young, and we're a discovery focused team and enthusiastic, and we're just trying to bring this thing as far as we can for the shareholders and prove our credibility mainly.
Mm-hmm. So okay, because basically you answered like 3 in 1 question, so perfect. Let's go into the share structure and the financials. So Core Assets reported its earnings on May the 25th and showed a strong balance sheet of 3.8 million cash. So what is the current cash position of the company so far?
Yeah, we're about shy of 3 million there right now in the bank, and obviously this is spending season, so we're spending money quickly, but it's obviously working out and going towards a good cause. But yeah, we were budgeted for about 2.7 million for this project, and that was with a 20% over estimate on that. And we're drilling. It's looking like we're going to probably be drilling a few more meters than what we proposed, which was 5,000 meters. And I mean, we'll see how it goes, and how weather and everything else has to come into play on that too. But yeah, we're healthy right now with regards to cash and till. 74 million shares outstanding right now. I think we're around 92 fully diluted. And yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of warrants come in earlier in the year, which created another $1.5 million cash. Yeah. And 95% of those came in. So we're basically through all that right now. And yeah, everything seems to be going good at this very time, and we're hoping to continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm. And about the share structure, could you tell us what is the percentage held by the management, insiders? Do you have any strategic investor involved in the company?
Yeah, so it's a pretty tight share structure. And that was one of the main things I wanted to plan from the beginning. There's only about 40 to 45 million shares out of that 74 that are free trading right now. There's a group out of the United States called Crescat Capital. They own some 19% of the company. It's about 26% owned by insiders, and including myself. And there's another investment company that started us off called Zimdu Capital Corp. They have a nice position in there as well. But you can tell the way it trades that people are kind of waiting for this story to pan out, and it's very tightly held. So we're very fortunate to have that.
Okay, and see on the share side, so as many investors know, like we currently are going through a bearish market. Besides cars, it seems to have strongly held, however. So why do you think this is like this?
So I think one of the reasons could be, we have been updating people a lot. So, every week and a half, 2.5 weeks, where we have news out and keeping people obviously interested. And then another thing that I've done is I've been lucky enough to be able to do some pretty aggressive lockups. So our last two financings, the first one is locked up for a full year. And then the last one we did with Crescat Capital as the primary contributor, that one was for about $1.6 million. And that one there is locked up for a year and a half, and it's 33.3% released every 6 months. So, it's a good way to mitigate the amount of shares flowing into the market as well. So if we can keep doing things like that, we will, if we're so fortunate to keep producing results. But that, I would say those are the two main reasons. And of course the projects are really, they're great projects, speculative for sure in nature, but we're starting to show our credibility here, and I think that'll begin to really become something here soon once we start putting assays out and people start really believing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for all the explanation on the share structure and financial side. Now we are about to end our interview. So could you tell us what are the company's ambitions, middle term and long term?
Sure. I mean, again, for an exploration company, middle and long term can mean many things, but I can look forward, I guess, 2 or 3 years. Middle term for me would be at the end of this year. But again, this year is all about proving the credibility and proving that the rocks are there, and they don't just look visually attractive. They also run in real grade, and with the CRD aspect, it's all about tapping into the system. And if you can even get a sniff of this kind of massive sulfide in the subsurface, that's a very big deal with these carbonate replacement deposits. So that's our goal with that. And then long term is to continue to build our shareholder base and our awareness, and just continue to build that credibility, and start to become a very well-known exploration company. And our goal is just to keep riding on the young team and producing results, and that's what we want to do for the shareholders.
And in quick words, could you summarize what are the company's strengths, highlights, and what could happen short term?
So I mean, it's discovery season. It's drilling season. This is the time when you get that initial valuation of your company from actually producing results. So nothing gets sweeter than this time right now, because it's all these different companies are getting their drill results back, and that's when they get their initial bump in valuation. So nothing really beats that. So that is our main catalyst right now, is putting out drill results. And our first 2 holes for Laverdiere will be back in the next 2 weeks. And then I assume that after that is going to be a fair bit of a gap until we get our next few holes, but it will give investors an idea of what we are dealing with at Laverdiere. And then, again, the visuals today that went out are, going to obviously open a few eyes for the Silver Lime project. And then I'm hoping that, the core only looks better as we get closer to the 2021 discovery zone. So, I mean, that's all the catalyst you really need at this point. And it's going to be an exciting time, and the whole team here is can't wait to start putting out some of these numbers.
Well, thank you a lot for your time, Nick. I really appreciate it to get to know more about core assets. It's very exciting. You guys have definitely strong share structure, some finance, and with the upcoming news, it's definitely gonna be exciting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more about your company.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, and it's a pleasure meeting you. And yeah, let's hope everything works out.
Awesome, thank you.